This station is now the ultimate power in the universe.
This table is really tilted.
Excuse me? Am I gonna get a chance to speak?
Maybe I should take that back.
Denied. Damn, son, where'd you find this?
Take a giant step for mankind.
Welcome to the Tilted Table with your hosts, Sean and Joe.
I just need to go smoke in peace.
Okay, fair enough. I get that. I can see that. All right, folks. Welcome to the Tilted Table, the internet's answer to a question that no one asked. I am Sean Landon Clark.
And I am Joey Joe, the Fracky Mac.
How are you doing today?
I'm excited, man. I think these are some great topics that you picked out. And
did I come up with this one?
You did.
I did. Okay.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And so what we're going to talk about today is weird or strange restaurant experiences that we've had.
Yes.
And at face value, it's like, oh, that seems like it's going to be something, fairly easy to talk about. But I actually had to sit down and notes on my phone and come up with different bullet points. And I think I got some good stories to share.
I didn't have a tough time. I've had a number of experiences at very odd restaurants. So, and it's not just the experience. I mean, people.
So odd restaurants or odd experiences at odd restaurants?
I'm going to say both.
Okay.
Because if you go to an odd restaurant, you're going to have an odd experience, right?
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I've got a couple ones. I'm sure like people listening, they may recognize these places. At least one of the places that I talk about because it's a pretty popular spot.
Mm-hmm. Are they here?
No, they're not here. They're in Well, they're two are in Nevada. One's in Los Angeles.
All right. Well, start with the Los Angeles one. What happened there?
The Los Angeles one is a restaurant called 71 Above.
Okay.
So, and I should have looked this up before I went on live to record this, but essentially it's a restaurant that's in the 71st floor of this damn skyscraper, and it consumes the whole floor. Mm-hmm. So it's 360 view of the city.
Is it a nice restaurant?
Oh God, yeah. Well, my pocketbook said it was nice.
Okay. You're still making payments.
I'm still paying off that loan. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I went down to Los Angeles. I was getting my PhD from USC, so I had to go down to LA and go down to University of Southern California and do a bunch of stuff. And one of the times I went down there, and I made a couple of friends just through the program, but former colleagues of mine that worked at the Oakland Tribune, they live in Los Angeles. And so I decided, I'm going to hook up with them. I hadn't seen them in a long time. Went ahead, did that, and we went out, to 71 Above. And it's like, oh, it's a really cool restaurant. And yeah, we go to the top of this floor and we have dinner, and it was a super nice place.
Okay.
And it was expensive as shit, but it is cool. The view, I'm sure you could go online if you wanted to look this place up.
Okay.
And check out it. The view is amazing. So, I'm a sucker for that kind of shit, like top floor of a skyscraper type shit. Because didn't I tell you about the place at the Palms? Where they had like the glass.
Yeah.
So similar kind of thing.
So did they sit you? And these restaurants are always kind of interesting. Did they sit you at a table by the window,
yeah,
or you were interior in the restaurant?
So the tables that are next to the window, obviously the most popular ones. Mm-hmm. We went on it was a Monday night, so they weren't super crowded. So we didn't call for any kind of. Well, I guess we did call for a reservation. We made sure that we could be there, and so they asked if we wanted a table. Against the window. So yeah, it was super dope.
And then what was the odd experience that you had there?
Not an odd experience. It was just
it was a dope restaurant. Okay.
Yeah. So the reason I'm choosing that place is because it's a unique restaurant, and I guess it's not that unique. I know the World Trade Center had the restaurant that was at the top of the World Trade Center, and I'm sure that there's plenty of restaurants at the top of a lot of skyscrapers that overlook a city. I think what was different about this is it didn't seem like it was in a I guess how do I want to put this? It didn't seem like it was in an area where you would see a lot of restaurants. It was literally in a building in downtown.
Sure.
And so it's just like, okay, why is this random restaurant at the top of this of this place.
A destination spot.
Yeah. So when if you go to Las Vegas, they have a lot of sort of rooftop places, but it's expected, right? So I think that was the reason I picked 71 above.
Yeah. That totally tracks. One of my odd experiences. So when Cookie and I would travel, like all of our vacations through Europe would really center around exploring old churches, and then food and wine culture. And we would, not every day, but we'd always try and book a restaurant at a place that had a Michelin star. And if they had 2 stars, great. And we've eaten a couple 3 stars, were really amazing. And we've gone to some really cool places to try and track these restaurants down. There was this one vacation we were in Italy, and we were all over eating killer food, drinking amazing wine, and to the point like it was just straight up gluttonous. And on our final day, we were headed back to Venice, and I'm stuffed, man. I've been eating like a king for almost 2 weeks, and at this point, I just want like a taco and a beer and to call it a day. And Cookie's like, "Hey, we got a reservation, which we're 2 hours late for, at a Michelin 3-star, and the restaurant was called La Calandre." And I remember we get there, we're the only people in the restaurant, super ultra modern. I would say it was even though I was stuffed, I had no interest in eating food. It was still one of the 10 best meals of my entire life.
Oh, okay.
But here's where the odd experience comes in. So they bring out, when you're at a Michelin 3-star, it's, certainly the food is important, but the presentation is and the craftsmanship are as important. And in between one of the courses, the waiter comes out. He's got like a tux on, and he stands next to me with like a Mister bottle, like you would have like a hairspray bottle, but it was really fancy, like almost like a Fabergé egg. And he has a white napkin in one hand and this Fabergé egg spray bottle in the other hand. And he's looking at me and I'm looking at him, and I have no idea what we're supposed to do. And he, in broken English, tells me to turn my head and open my mouth. And it is instead of having like a palate cleanser in between your different courses, the server comes and mists the inside of your mouth while you're sitting at the table. And I don't remember if it was like wintergreen. I was kind of stunned that I was sitting there having this, like, what is this dude spraying in my mouth in the middle of my meal? But it just made that, like, it was again, awesome experience. One of the best restaurants in the world. I think a couple years ago, it actually made the number 1 restaurant in the world. So,
okay.
Yeah, it was a ultra legit place. But having some dude with a Fabergé egg spraying in my mouth was an odd experience.
I get fancy restaurants have stuff like that. That seems like a fancy restaurant move, but I'm sorry, it's creepy. You cross the line into creepy.
I was gonna say, that's why I said it was very odd.
Open your mouth so I can spray stuff into it.
And so when the next couple courses come out, and then when the dude shows back up with the Fabergé egg, I just turned my head, opened my mouth like I was an old pro at something like that. Not something that I need to go back and revisit, but I thought, in terms of odd restaurant experiences, that one was strange.
No. Okay. See, I think these are like both. I didn't really have an odd experience at 71 above, and your experience was slightly odd. So we can start progressing into really odd experiences. I'm gonna go with a place that. And I'll say the craziest one for last. I was going to use it for second. I'm going to go with Primal, which is a steakhouse.
Where's that?
This is in Vegas.
Okay.
It's not on the Strip. It's off the Strip. Is it off the Strip? Yeah, I think it's off the Strip. Anyways, I think right now it's currently rated. I might be wrong. You can look it up on Yelp. I don't know what the rating systems are, but I think it's a 2-star Michelin.
Oh,
okay.
All right.
And it is the highest rated restaurant in Vegas.
Okay.
And your pocketbook will definitely show you that. If you don't believe it's a top rated place, you'll find out.
Oh, dude, I think that's when you Visa calls you in the middle of dinner to ask if your card's been stolen.
Yeah, they have to, because it's like, I know this cheap son of a bitch is not buying this kind of steak. So So the place is themed and very much medieval. So imagine kind of a Game of Thrones set. There is no actual light in the restaurant.
It's called Primal.
Yeah, it's all lit with candles. Now, as I recall, most of the candles were fake candles, but there's not actual like what do you again like regular lighting you would see in a room. It's all candles, and they've got like the Knights Templar stuff on the wall, swords and the knight stuff, and you can actually put on the armor and play with the swords if you want.
Oh, dude, I'm looking at pictures right now. This is legit.
Yeah. So, and they serve like their drinks and like horns, like they hollow out a horn. Yeah, it's dope. So we had that experience, and again, it wasn't anything odd. Service was great. Food was absolutely amazing. They serve like bison. Like, they have all kinds of fancy steaks. But it's the environment. Like, yeah, it's like you're on basically like, I feel like it's like, I know this is a terrible comparison, but I felt like it's like medieval times if you're stupid rich. Like, basically that kind of environment where you feel like you're, like I said, I felt like I was on the set of like a Game of Thrones type place.
They leveled up by a factor of 100.
Oh, yeah.
That sounds cool. I would totally go to something like that.
And I had a bison steak. It was delicious.
Did you have to declare your house like you were in Hogwarts or something when you walked in?
No, did not have to do that. Thank God. Because what's weird about them is they're a fancy restaurant. So it's not like people are showing up necessarily in T-shirts and jeans. Mm-hmm. People are dressed nice. But at the same time, they allow you to put on like, chainmail and helmets and swing swords around. So they're like weird, fancy, but not. I don't know how to describe it.
That's a great restaurant experience. I would totally do something like that. That sounds like a lot of fun.
And I think the steak I got was $150 for the steak.
Wow.
Yeah. So luckily, I ain't trying to brag, but I make decent money around here. Not off this podcast, but I make decent money elsewhere.
I would say I've been very blessed to eat at some amazing places. I've never had $150 steak. That's wild.
Yeah, I got dragged out there by my friend Carlos, a guy I went to high school with, and he's an interesting character just because he never went to college, and he didn't make a lot of money in his 20s, but he got he landed a gig as a mechanic, and he ended up opening his own shop. And it's expanded. He makes really, really good money.
Good for him, man.
Yeah, and so we went out to Vegas, and he was just like, I want to go to try the steakhouse. And I'm like, oh, that's cool. And he's looking at me like, well, you're a teacher. And he doesn't know my financial situation. Mm-hmm. And so it's just like, it's expensive. I'm like, I don't worry about that. Yeah, I've got the money. We good.
Yeah, shout out Carlos, man. Yeah. You're a legend.
Yeah, so it was fun. It was a good time. It was good food. Mm-hmm. Service was amazing. Drinks are great.
Do you remember what you had to drink?
I had they have a drink it's basically an old fashioned, but they don't call it an old fashioned. And for the life of me, I can't remember what it is, but they bring it out on a tray and it's all like smoke billowing out. It's crazy. Yeah, big on the presentation. But it essentially was an old fashioned, but they don't call it that. I can't remember what they called it.
Yeah, like the Cauldron of Doom or
something.
Somebody
had some kind of name like that. Yeah.
Well, those are awesome dining experiences. And when you get to hang out for, I love having an amazing 2-3 hour dinner where the drinks are flowing, the stories are going, and if you get to put on chainmail and helmets while you're doing it,
pull a sword out and start swinging.
I would leave a Yelp review while I was eating.
Live stream it.
Send me more of this. Well, my next one actually is here in town, and is a run up. During Vietnam, my dad was in the Navy and stationed in the Philippines. So growing up as a kid, he would make like lumpia and like traditional Filipino dishes. We're not Filipino, but that cuisine was an early part of my childhood. And there's a grocery store here in town called Island Pacific Supermarket.
Never heard of it.
I had never been there before. Honestly, I didn't even know it was there, but it is probably about the size of Whole Foods. Mm-hmm. So me and my buddy Eric went there about a year ago. I just said, hey, I learned there's a Filipino supermarket and they've got a lunch counter inside. We should go, check out the food. And right when we walked through the automatic double doors, one of the funniest things happened. There's probably like, I don't know, 30 people inside. Mm-hmm. Eric and I walked through the doors and all 30 of them turned around and looked like, who are these two white boys walking in the supermarket? We are clearly out of place. The food looked outstanding. Mm-hmm. They did not speak English, which is, in my opinion, that's always a good sign of a great meal to come. Mm-hmm. we started, pointing towards the food that we wanted to order. And Eric and I sat down in the little food court area to start having lunch and talking. And about halfway through lunch, I'm like, do you have any idea what we're eating?
Hey, those are some of the best experiences.
He's like, I have no idea. I don't know if this is chicken, if it's fish, if it's meat. I have no clue. So in terms of the food was good. I don't know that it's necessarily in my wheelhouse, but afterwards I was like, let's walk around and take a look at what other things they've got. People would buy to take home and cook. And literally, the very first thing we came across is buckets of blood.
Okay.
I don't see that in Whole Foods, right?
No, not ever at Whole Foods.
Or there's like a whole vacuum sealed package of fish heads. And it was just like one kind of thing that, not part of our culture to the next part of the culture. And then once we got to the dairy section where it was ice cream, I thought this was interesting. It was sweet purple yam ice cream.
Okay.
And apparently that's a thing. And then at that point is one of the workers walked up and asked if we were lost. So I would definitely shout out. That's a great place to go and eat if you're looking for something completely different. Never going to experience it again. I don't know where you could go have food like that here in the Central Valley.
Well, that's good that they have places like that. I think towns Fresno definitely are places that they don't take risks like that.
Mm-mm.
Yeah. So, they get fancy places here in town. I think they do well. But any place that's got a twist or unique, so I think people are sometimes scared to
right
throw those kind of places up.
Or it's not, you don't hear people say, I need to run to the store and get a bucket of fish balls.
Yeah, that's it for sure. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I have to check that place out. I've never even heard of it.
Yeah, that's it. Let's see, Bullard and First.
Okay, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Sweet. Well, I'll give you another one that's coming out of Vegas. It's called the Hash House A Go Go. It's in Link. So,
okay.
So you're familiar with Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles?
Yes.
World famous Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles. So this is the alternative to that. They call it Twisted Farm Food. So you show up to this place, and it's pretty much a Waffle House kind of establishment.
Low key or is this fancy?
I would say it's mid. It's not fancy.
Okay.
Well, they can't be fancy if they're like a Waffle House. Can they really be fancy?
Yeah, it's still Vegas.
Yeah, well, that's true, but Vegas has got a lot of low rent places. There's a spot. This is real quick. There's a spot in Vegas, and for the life of me, I got to look it up and find it because when I went there, I was drunk out of my mind. But they have shots of tequila, but instead of a worm, it's a baby scorpion, and you eat the scorpion. You can't. Well, you don't have to eat the scorpion. If you're drunk enough like me, you eat the fucking scorpion. So there's all kinds of places in Vegas that have these
And that comes with a side of your biscuits and gravy in the morning. Is that what you're saying?
No. This is just a random. I can't even. It could have been a restaurant. It could have been a bar. I got to look it up because I remember going there and we did it. And the next day, you sort of forget these things. Like where was that at? Because you're kind of bouncing around from hotel to hotel and you're going from place to place. And I saw that. I'm like, I got to try that. So I think Vegas, generally speaking, I think most of it is kind of, midline. You don't have to be super fancy, but there are obviously very fancy restaurants. Hash House A Go Go, not really fancy.
Okay.
And so a couple of things about their menu that was intriguing. First of all, their bacon is insane. So they have those thick, gigantic cuts of bacon, and they have all these wild ass dishes. Like they have, like a BLT.
Yeah.
They have a BLT, and it's literally just a amount of bacon sandwich.
Your cholesterol goes up 100 points just eating it.
Yeah, but the thing that I got and what I ordered was it was in the morning. It's a breakfast, offering from them. It is a 24-ounce can of Budweiser and 8 strips of bacon.
It's it.
Bud and bacon, baby.
Wow. Is that what you ordered?
Fuck yes.
And was it good?
Oh, the bacon is absolutely delicious. Okay. And I didn't really want a beer. It's like, 8 in the morning, 8:30 in the morning. But I had to order it because, Budweiser and bacon. How can you not order Budweiser and bacon? I don't even drink Budweiser.
I would order it.
Oh,
I don't drink Budweiser. I think I've had like one can of Budweiser in my entire life. I'd still do it.
Yeah, so they're like, again, they're kind of the extreme, I guess the extreme version of a Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles. They have all these wild dishes. And that's what I had for breakfast, and it was absolutely delicious. The bacon is amazing.
That sounds pretty spectacular.
And the line for that place was long, too. They're popular.
Well, I mean, I'm sure they also heard about the Budweiser and bacon.
Yeah, I'm sure that's drawing everybody in.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please?
Leave a like on the video. I know you're enjoying this. Can you shut up?
The internet's answer to a question that was never asked. The Tilted Table with Sean and Joe.
Let's see. My next one is Cookie and I. Whenever we go on these, long vacations through Europe, we'd always try and do a cooking class. And so I guess I can speak for myself. I'm a huge animal person, so I'm not, those friends, that they love to go hunting. I say, great, more power to you. I don't want to hear about it. Don't send me pictures of it. I don't know. It's something that bothers me is I just feel the need to go take down a large animal and then have it cut up and just overnight it the meat to friends as gifts. It's like, I don't understand the point. My own personal deal. So we were in Bordeaux, France, on a hillside doing a really cool cooking class. And it was 10 of us. It was when Cookie and I got there, they didn't realize that we were the only English speaking people and they didn't speak any English. So luckily this dude rolls up 10 minutes late after us, and he was a movie director.
Oh. Yeah.
And I guess it's pretty famous because everybody was like, oh, it's, blah, blah, blah. And he was really super kind, and he translated the whole cooking class for me and Cookie, which was fantastic. Which brings us to you know what a langoustine is? It's kind of like a junior, smaller lobster.
No, I don't. I've never heard. I've heard the word, but I don't.
I think it's more of a European thing. It's kind of like here you probably have crawfish type of a deal.
Yeah.
So a langoustine is a little bit bigger than that. And so they bring out all of these langoustine and they put it in front of us, and they're like, all right, well, these are some beautiful langoustine we just pulled out of the ocean, and you're going to rip its head off and do all of these things. And I'm looking at the instructor and I'm like, I didn't sign up for this, man. I'm not trying to kill my food. He wasn't doing anything. He's chilling in the ocean. And now, it's my job to eat it. I don't recall this a little while ago. I think I made Cookie do it. I was like, I'm going to walk outside. When I come back, it's just going to be there, and then I'm going to throw it in the grill. So in terms of odd, maybe culinary experiences, I've never had to kill my food and then cook it. And it's the same thing would go for people who like to go fishing. Right. I think that's a little bit different, but I don't know.
There's a couple places I know that if you go to various spots, I don't know, lakes or whatever, and you catch, say certain fish, there are restaurants that they'll, cut it up for you and do all that thing. And they'll cook it for you and serve it to you. Yeah. It's one step beyond if you go to a place and they have lobster, they, roll out the aquarium and you're like, oh, I want that one right there, that fat one swimming.
I get it, but it's you're not Bear Grylls out here trying to rough off the land and survive. That has its own place in the human experience. I don't necessarily need to, when I want to go to dinner, I need to kill it and then eat it right there.
Right.
That's not quite my jam. But in the theme of our episode today on odd dining experiences, killing my food and eating it, that one was, for me, it was a little on the odd side.
Yeah, that's a cool one, though. I'm down to try that. I'm not against something like that. I would do it.
I'm like, what, you want me to hit it with a mallet in the head? I don't. Trying to get all vicious at 11 o'clock in the morning.
It seems you go to a restaurant. So, obviously people go to a restaurant because they don't want to cook, right? You want to be served.
Yeah.
So anytime I have to do something, if I have to kill something or why am I paying you to do all this stuff? I want you to do all that, right? That's how I kind of see this thing.
Yeah, there was a movie recently where I forget the name of it, but the guy bonds with the girl because he can't. Man, it was a great film. She can't kill things, and they go to a sushi restaurant, and so she buys all of the lobsters the super rare, well, all the lobsters, but they were all super rare ones out of the fish tank from the sushi chef, and then they walk out on the pier and then release the lobsters into the water.
God.
See, I know that's like most people will be insert giant eyeball roll.
No,
but in that scene, I was like, yeah, respect, man.
Oh, okay.
I can see that. I would do that.
I would be upset. That's a lot of money to spend. I'd eat those things like that. Well, it's one of the reasons why I could never stand buffets. I mean, I don't like buffets because the food is crappy as
Garbage,
hell.
yeah.
I mean, I think some buffets on this planet that actually have really good food, but you're going to pay for it. And my attitude is that part of the reason I go to a restaurant is I don't want to have to get up. I want to put someone to serve me. That's kind of the idea. So
I don't want some 8-year-old kid sneezing on my salad.
That's why they have the guards, man.
Allegedly.
You're such a germaphobe.
Yeah,
You are a germaphobe.
I'm not quite Howie Mandel, but I do like to be clean.
Yeah. I'm not quite as big of a germaphobe. I've accepted germs as part of reality. I'm not licking doorknobs over here, but I'm not tripping out too much if there's a bunch of hands flying around my food. I'm not that worried about it.
Another really fun, I would say this was a awesome, fun, different dining experience. It doesn't exist anymore, but back in the day, going to another Vegas spot, it was when the Vegas Hilton was on the north end of the strip, and they had, I love Star Trek. Most people are big Star Wars fans. Like I'm a huge Trekkie, and they had the Star Trek experience, which was amazing. I loved it. And they had a replica of Quark's bar from Deep Space Nine.
Okay. All right.
Inside of the Hilton. And, they serve like normal bar food, put a little Star Trek name on it. And
Did they use a replicator?
They actually had something that looked like a replicator. Yeah.
I mean, if their food should be served in like some kind of like through whatever, like a hatch or a window that goes into a replicator.
They had. I remember it's one of my all-time favorite pictures. It's me and Cookie sitting at the bar at Quark's bar, and one of the cocktails that you could order was called a warp core breach. Which is like one of the big Star Trek things, right? And in parentheses beneath the warp core breach, it says limit 1 per customer. And I was like, that's lame, man. We're most people in Vegas, you're there to have a good time, cut loose, drink a little bit more than you should probably. They serve it to us, and it's the size of a fish bowl, like a full-on fish bowl, and it's blue. It's got dry ice, like it's spewing all the smoke and whatnot out of the top of it. We make it to like 2/3 of the way through this warp core breach, and
so you and Cookie were sharing.
We're sharing it.
Okay,
I'm probably drinking more of it than she is, but we're having a good time. And I make a comment that I'm going to go into they had a little Star Trek store that's attached to this Quark's bar, and I was like, hey, I'm going to go buy some merch. And I said, this warp core breach is a little bit of fake news, like 1 per customer. I ain't feeling nothing. And it's like what, $30 a drink or something. So I said, I'm gonna go get some merch. I literally swiveled around on my my bar stool, and I face planted straight off of the bar stool. So I didn't think I was intoxicated sitting there. I had the brilliant idea, I'm gonna go buy some tribbles and throw them in my bag, and that I haven't been drinking. And then, as soon as I spun around, like that was all she wrote.
Did you actually face plant?
Oh yeah, I totally face planted, and I'm like, oh, I didn't knock my teeth out or anything, but. So in terms of odd dining experiences, dining inside a Quark's bar and face planting off a bar stool, that was good times.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Wow. Yeah. And that place is gone, huh?
It's gone. Yeah. I think that's where Fountain Blue is right now.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Oh, wow. Wow. So yeah, my last restaurant, and I think it's a well-known place, is the Heart Attack Grill in Vegas.
I've heard of this.
Yeah. So as far as experiences go, and every story I've told has been pretty basic. There's not a whole ton of experience, it's atmosphere or whatever. If you go to the Heart Attack Grill, it's a whole process. I would tell anybody that if they want to go to this place, you better be ready to be pretty much hassled the whole time you're there. So there's a place in Vegas called Dick's Last Resort.
I've heard of this.
Okay, so Dick's Last Resort, the whole concept is when you go there to dine, everyone is extremely rude to you. So that's part of the experience. The waitresses are going to be ultra rude to you. Like they will throw your food, on your table. Just treat you like absolute dirt. So that's the idea behind it. Now, I've never been to Dick's Last Resort. Heart Attack Grill is a similar kind of setup. So I don't even know how to explain this experience. There's a couple things about the Heart Attack Grill I think people have to know. The first thing is this, and I think that this is not only kind of amazing, but grossly irresponsible, and they've actually had issues with this. So one of the things about the Heart Attack Grill is if you weigh over 350 pounds, you eat for free.
What?
So they have a big scale, like this ridiculous.
And people are proud of this.
Yes, and so like they have this huge scale, so you step on it before you go in.
Is it the type of scale that they weigh trucks on?
It looks like that. It's like a big scale with a big display board, and it's again it's Vegas, right? It's all show and whatever. So if you weigh over 350 pounds, you get to eat for free. So when you go in, the first thing they do is you have to put on a gurney. Is that what they call the hospital? You put on like
a smock type of deal? Yeah.
Right? So you have to put this thing on, and the waitresses are all dressed in kind of cute nurses outfits, right? So they've got that whole theme going on, and their food is ridiculous. Now you can order, their burgers, like I ordered a burger, so they have like the bypass burger, the double bypass, the triple bypass, quadruple bypass.
Oof.
And I think the quadruple, it's first of all, it is the highest calorie meal on the planet. And I want to say it's 8 patties stacked on a burger with mounds of fries and all that nonsense, right? So whatever you order, you have to eat it. If you do not eat it all, they will spank you. They will publicly put you up, and you take a paddle, and they hit you 3 times in the ass if you order something that you can't eat, right? So I go in there, and I don't know this. So I go through the gurney bullshit, and the manager will come around. It's all theatrics, right? Mm-hmm. And check on you to make sure you're right, that you're not dying, because it is the Heart Attack Grill. Right, and they all have stethoscopes, so the nurses will come up to you and they'll put a stethoscope on your chest, and it's a big game, right? Okay. So eating there is kind of a pain because you're constantly kind of being hassled by people, and it's part of, I guess, the theater of the whole thing, right? And I didn't know about the spanking thing, so I'm sitting there, and I ordered a triple bypass, which I think, again, I could be wrong. It was like 5 or 6 patties or 5 patties. It's a burger you can't even eat. You literally have to eat it in parts, right? I'm not going to eat this shit. Like, I can't eat it all, right? Like, whatever. It's just the experience. So I'm sitting there eating, and I'm seeing people get pulled up, and they're getting whipped in the ass. And I'm like, what the hell is that? And it's like, well, if you don't finish your food, you get a spanking. And I'm like, shut the fuck up. All the friends I was with, they all ordered normal ass shit. And they're like, I'm having a hard time finishing my normal, fucking food, which is still a ton of food. Even the normal food is more food than most people can eat. Right. And I'm just like, I'm fucked because I can't eat. It's
like 4 pounds of meat.
Yeah, it's like there's no way I could eat all this shit. Right? I'm not Joey Chestnut. I'm not gonna like one of these competitive food eaters. So of course I eat. I've already relegated myself to the reality that I'm gonna get my ass whooped. So yeah, and they bent my sorry butt over and they're like 1, 2, 3, and whipping me.
Did you get a picture?
I'm sure my friends have pictures on the phones. Yeah, this was a while ago. So, but yeah, that place is insane. And what's interesting about that place is one guy that they that would go there regularly. Mm-hmm. I don't know his name, but they'd put him on, like their advertisements, and he was over 350 pounds, and he would go there constantly. And I think he ballooned to like 450. He ended up dying of a heart attack, obviously.
Sure, yeah.
Another guy had a heart attack while in the restaurant. So that whole theme bullshit that they pull off where it's like, oh, you're eating the quadruple bypass, let me check your heart, make sure you're still alive. And it's a big joke. Somebody actually had a heart attack in that restaurant. And people got mad because they thought it was a stunt. So people in the restaurant were like cheering it on and like, woohoo, yeah, because they thought it was a stunt. Which makes sense because the whole thing thing's a stunt. So, but this was like the manager came out and said, this was not a stunt. That dude went to the hospital. He's having a heart attack. But people didn't believe them. It wasn't until like the news later came out saying like they were clarifying that this was not a stunt, that this guy actually had a heart attack in that restaurant.
That's wild.
The one thing that they sort of joke about and promote that's what's going to happen to you when you come here is you're going to have a heart attack.
Did they save that news clip and just play it endlessly on the front when you walk in?
Well, no, that's bad publicity. Well, is it bad or is it good
that's
publicity?
part of the. It's bad for the gentleman. It's terrible, but for the for the restaurant, like that's the whole shtick.
I'm glad my near-death experience is going to be part of your promotional campaign, right?
You should get like royalty fees off of that.
So yeah, I mean the heart attack grill. I will say this is that I was disappointed. The food is okay, but obviously it's not the best food. But if you like that kind of shit, and I'm not big into that. My experiences with things like that are pretty limited. When I go to a restaurant, I don't mind a themed restaurant. Like Primal had the whole medieval thing going on. That's cool. Food was good. Service was really good. I don't know if I care for getting to the point where I'm becoming part of a play or a show. Yeah. It's a little bit too much for me. I don't think I care for things like that. And I have been to places where they do that. There's a place. I'll give you one more. A place in San Diego called the Aussie, and again, it's an Australian themed bar. And they have hot wings, and they have the levels of hot wings from basic all the way to I can't remember the hottest. I can't remember the name of them. The one underneath that was Hell's Bells, and the one above that, which is the hottest wings. And if you can get a plate of the hottest wings, and you can eat them without taking any kind of liquid or drinking anything, they'll put your name on the wall, and they have this big plaqued area. And went in there, and there's only one name on it. Only at that time, only one dude was able to pull this off. So we sit down and I'm like, oh, how hot are these super hot wings? And the woman's just like, oh, they're hot. I'm telling you right now, this is not a joke. If you order those, it's about getting your name on that wall. They're not enjoyable.
You probably have
not something you eat for fun.
You got to eat with like latex gloves. Don't touch your eyes. All that kind of stuff. This is
the first thing that I learned was that she told me, she's like, yeah, she's also, if you eat them, we give you latex gloves, and do not put it on your skin. It will burn your skin. And I'm just like, with the skin in my mouth is like way more sensitive than the skin on my body. Like, how bad are these things? And so I was just like, what? And so I said, well, what if I eat a whole plate of Hell's Bells? And she's like, well, you get a free T-shirt if you do that. Okay, cool. I won't get my name on the wall. So I ordered a plate of Hell's Bells. One's right beneath it. I think there were 6 wings or 8 wings. I'm going to say there were 6. Could have been 8. I'm not sure.
Did you do it?
Oh, I made it through 2 before I'm like chugging water and milk. Yeah. And going to the bathroom, I felt like I was going to puke. So I don't know the hottest ones, but when I was doing it, everyone's gathering around and they're just like, all right, and I'm just like, I didn't want all this shit.
Right.
So I'm not a big fan of being part of a theater event, but I signed up for that. I just didn't think it was going to be all that.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. Like in the whole odd restaurant experiences, I think the farthest I would go to where I think like this is cool is like Johnny Rockets. Like, that's cool. You're like back in the 50s doing the thing. You got the, malted milkshake thing later. Like, I think that's cool. But, I don't know about the rest of it. I guess my one quick final story is, this is 20 years ago. I was having breakfast with my parents, and I do like hot sauce. And I like really hot sauce, like ghost peppers, habaneros, like on the regular. When you walked into this breakfast place, they had these hot sauces on racks on the wall. Like mild is at the bottom, and then there's like 30 of them, right? And then the hotter up the rack that you went, you get to the very top, and there was like 3 bottles, and one of them was called the Devil's Spell. And I remember it says like 2 micro drops per plate of food. Yeah. And I grabbed that bottle, and I'm like all over my
like an asshole.
Omelet. Yep.
Can't be that hot.
I take a couple bites. I'm like, man, this has got some heat. And, I'm probably halfway through my breakfast, and I literally pitted out of the T-shirt that I was wearing. I ended up pouring water on my face while I was sitting there. They brought me milk, and I'm allergic to milk. And I'm like, oh, screw it, man. I'm either going to, I'm dying. My esophagus is going to close up and I won't be able to breathe, or I'm just going to start chugging the milk that I'm allergic to. And Yeah, I just remember that devil's spell. That was awful stuff. We had a whole day planned. We had to leave the breakfast place, go back home so I could shower, get in a new change of clothes, and then we can continue with the rest of our day.
Oh God, when what you eat forces you to go home to take a shower, that's next level, man. I had something similar happen like that, kind of. This is years ago, probably around the same time frame, maybe 15, 20 years ago. A friend of mine had a bottle of hot sauce called Dave's Spontaneous Combustion. And I'm like, well, what is this? He's like, oh, it's super hot sauce. And this is before I knew what habanero was. It was, I guess, kind of, I don't want to say it was new. At least it was new to me. I didn't know about it. And so he makes a plate of nachos, and we're drinking beers. And he didn't give me the bottle. I didn't read it. And he just puts like 2-3 drops on it. I'm like, what are you doing? He goes, oh, this stuff is so hot. You can only need drops like that. And I'm like, dude, quit fucking playing, dude. It's like, I thought that was a joke. Like, he's joking with me. And he's like, no, man, that's how hot this stuff is. And I'm like, it just sounds like you're fucking with me. Like, you're pulling my leg.
Did you override him and like put it on the rest of it?
I got the bottle and I put some on my finger, probably a couple of drops, and I licked it off my finger, and it absolutely burned the shit out of me. I'm like, ah.
You lost the skim off your gums.
I was just like, oh shit! I guess it is that hot. It just seems so stupid to me because I never seen the little droplets. Like, it seemed like he was messing with me. Like, this is a big gag he's pulling.
Yeah. Well, I think we both had some pretty great restaurant experiences.
Oh yeah.
I know it's past Christmas time already, but for early birthday present, I might get you your own Fabergé egg you can spray into your mouth in between meals.
Yes, please do that. So there's something else I could put into a cupboard and never use.
It would be a great conversation piece, though.
I don't know if it would be a great conversation piece, because I feel like if I had that thing laying around, people ask me what it is, and I would say it, they'd be like, man, you are gay. You're so gay.
There's therapy for things like that. Oh, that's priceless.
I have an important announcement for you, so stay tuned.
Yo, that's some next level shit, bruh.
So you got me. Big deal.
The internet's answer to a question no one asked. The Tilted Table with Sean and Joe.
Folks, thank you for tuning in to another episode of The Tilted Table, the internet's answer to a question that no one asked. I am Sean Landon Clark.
And I am Joey Joe, the Fracky Mac.
And we're going to go out and get dinner. Are you going to go out tonight? You're not going out tonight, are you?
I'm going to probably just go get a whole bag of habanero peppers and a couple Sapporos and let the good times roll.
I'm going to get a pack of like 30 hamburger patties and make one burger with it.
Or we can get the spicy chip. Let's try
the
spicy chip. Yeah.
All right. Well, we know what we're doing tonight, folks.
Peace.
Peace.